ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।
Dear friends, welcome back to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. And we have started as a revision of the third chapter, which is known as the chapter of Karma Yoga. Now, dear, I cannot sufficiently impress upon you the importance of the concept of Karma Yoga. Why? Because the concept of Karma Yoga in the Vedic ages was something else. In the ages of the Bhagavad Gita, the incarnation of the divine Sri Krishna himself gave a new interpretation to it, which is the subject matter of our study. And after that, Acharya Shankara wrote extensive commentary on the concept of Karma Yoga. And thereafter, in the modern age, Swamiji described Karma Yoga and asked us to practice it as Vedanta principles put it into practice, practicalized Vedanta, the highest and the loftiest concept of seeing the divine everywhere can be achieved by performing Karma Yoga in its true understanding and in its true spirit. Therefore, I tell you that I cannot sufficiently highlight to you the importance of this concept of Karma Yoga in our day-to-day life, a modern man or a modern woman. So, dears, pay due attention to what Sri Krishna has to say from the commonsensical point of view. He will try to justify himself as to this is what has come down from the Veda, because Vedas are the ultimate authority. If the Vedas do not support you, we will not listen to. Why? Vedas were God's wisdom revealed to God's children who rose to that level of accepting God's wisdom, assimilating it, and then propagating it amongst the human society. This is the interpretation of the Vedas. Don't say, oh, Vedic literature is 10,000 years old. We have nothing to do with it. The wisdom continues. And Swami Vivekananda put it into a very wonderful language. When somebody, being enamored and absolutely floored by Swamiji's concept of Karma Yoga, he says, you have revolutionized the concept. You know what Swamiji said? The humble man, so humble. He says, no, dear, you are mistaken. I have given to you that old wine in a new bottle. It is the old wine, the older it is, more precious it becomes. That old wine I have placed before you in a new bottle. The container are the words and present-day ideas, but the innate wisdom is God's wisdom. which he assimilated himself. So, dear, let us pay as much attention as we possibly can to understand it. First thing I would like to highlight, though we have read it, we have revised it, we have understood it, but there is no end to the joining up the dots, filling up the gaps, so that there's a beautiful flow of thoughts in a consequential manner. Arjuna complained to his friend Sri Krishna, friend, philosopher and guide, "You are praising sky high the position of a Sthita Prajna, a Brahmagya Purusha. You are praising sky high. And you are asking me to perform this horrible, horrendous task of fighting this war. War means killing, and killing is unethical, it is wrong, it is not acceptable. What type of friend you are, my dear Lord, that keeping that away from me, the practice of being a Sthita Prajna, knower of the self, a man of mature wisdom, you are not allowing me to do that. You are forcing me to fight this war. How can I say that you are my best friend, keeping the best thing away from me and putting into this job?" That was Arjuna's genuine complaint. And we can feel and understand that the complaint is genuine. A friend doesn't keep better things away and ask you to do horrendous things, horrible things. Now listen to what he says. Na karmana manarambhat naishkarma purushoshnute. Well, Arjuna, be practical. Use your robust common sense and don't cast aspersions against me, telling me that though I proclaim myself to be your friend, but I am not acting as a friend. Don't cast such aspersions on me. Use your common sense. What is that common sense, dear? These are what happens when you study the scriptures from a teacher. Self-study helps you, but self-study does not give you the catch points which are handed down from generation to generation to generation. What does it mean? The translation is Karmanam anarambhat. If you do not perform your duties of life as prescribed, you will not be able to reach that state which is known as Naishkarma Siddhi. That is, you go beyond the involvement of your ego in your day-to-day activities. You raise yourself at a higher pedestal. Karmanam anarambhat. That is, na karmanam arambhat. Without starting doing things the way you are doing, how can you comparatively understand this is this and this is this? What is to be involved in karma, where I make myself a victim of karma phala, and how to perform my karma where I am not a victim of my karma phala? How can you understand this without going through the drill? Commonsensical. How can I be a good cook if I don't try to learn cooking? How can I swim if I do not learn and try to swim? Everything in the world, you have to learn to go through it, then only you can master the art. Similarly, Sri Krishna says here, Arjuna, don't please blame me. Listen to me. use your robust common sense until and unless you start doing the duties of your life as you are taught. You will not be able to understand that there is another way of performing the same duties. What is it? Naishkarma nashnute. You will not be able to upgrade yourself. You will not be able to evolve yourself, educate yourself until unless I know how you are doing things. Analytical. Now let us come back to our day-to-day life. Whatever we do today, let us be very, very honest and frank with ourselves. Everything that we do, karma, it is preconditioned with an expectation of the result. Everything that you do. In your office, you do your work properly. The result should be good enough so that my standing in my office grows. That is my expectation. And that is why I try to be perfect. So as of now, we are habituated, we are used to, we are taught to be ambitious. And ambition is expectation of my unfulfilled desires. That's how we are asked to do. Good enough. So, every work that we do in our day-to-day life, there is an expectation inbuilt in me. And we are so used to it that we never give ourselves a chance to dive deep within ourselves and find out what is what. We do it as a force of habit. And what is the end result? Sometimes we are successful, our expectations are fulfilled, and we are in cloud nine. We are happy, joyous, at the top of the world. And sometimes, with my best of efforts, it does not succeed. And I am in deep depression, sadness, unhappiness, agony. Oh, it has all gone down the drain. My efforts have gone down the drain. Now, please wait. Listen. Analyze. Why is it happening? Because I have an expectation. Without expectation, I can't work. There has to be a motivation, has to be an incentive, a result-oriented attitude that I will receive that it is. I put myself as an example. If I am not careful about the movement of my own mind, deep down in my mental life, in the mindset, deep down, there's a bubble of expectation that I'm pouring my heart out. You will all understand. I'm pouring my heart out. I'm giving out my very best. I'm choosing the best possible words, trying to put it in the best possible manner. And if I'm not alert, because of force of habit, this expectation will have a seat in my heart that you will all understand. And to be a little more blunt, you will appreciate, admire. It's growing in me. After the talk is over, you come and tell me, oh Swamiji, it was out of the world. I enjoyed every bit of it. And I without knowing why and how, I hit the ceiling with great joy. My efforts have been fruitful. What is the fruitful? You have understood. And one of you, honestly and properly, you come and say, sincerely, you come and say, Swamiji, you tried your very best. I didn't understand anything. And I fall on mud with a thud. Oh dear me, all my efforts have gone down the drain. I am sad, I am unhappy, I am in agony. And instead of looking into me, if I could have made it better, I say, you are a dullard. You are a dumb person. So what is happening? The cause of this mood swing is because of my expectation. If I don't have any expectation, then I have no mood swing. As logical as that, as commonsensical as that, as rational as that. You see now how Sri Krishna is now explaining to you. First, you do your duties of your life with all the expectations that you have, which is natural, normal all over the world. The whole human society works that way. You are in very good company. Numerically, you are absolutely certain. But I tell you, if you want to enjoy eternal peace and tranquility, joy and ecstasy, please analyze yourself. What is the cause of this mood swing? Pleasure and pain, sadness and joy, agony and ecstasy. Why? Because I have an expectation in me. When that expectation is fulfilled, the pendulum swings this way, and when the expectation is not fulfilled, the pendulum goes that way. That's what it is. So, is there any way to get rid of expectation? There the ball starts rolling. The concept of karma yoga starts after you have started your life as a karma bhogi. Bhoga means to suffer, either to enjoy or I suffer, experiencing joy or sufferance, joy or unhappiness. Do it first. Then you analyze and say, this is where the catch is, this expectation. And he says, you have to do it without expectation. How is it possible? Expectation is a type of an ambition, an incentive, a motivation, and rationally, unmotivated activity is not possible. There has to be a motivation. Unmotivated activity is not possible. So how can I be a karma yogi? Analyze it from the common sense point of view, dears. Forget scripture. Forget everything. Let us be commonsensical with sharp, robust common sense. If I am to be eternally joyous and tranquil and pleasure, eternal tranquility and joy, I have to get rid of ambition. Then unmotivated, without any motivation, ambition, no work is possible. It is the motivation is the engine behind work. the power behind making me work. So why should I work? So, the concept of Karma Yoga starts. You have understood now there has to be a motivation. What is the motivation? The motivation is I do things correctly, perfectly, thoroughly, excellently. I give of my very best. And I will not be motivated by worldly motivation. My motivation is a performer with thoroughness, correctness, perfection, excellence. I have found out a motivation which is management of my own self. It has nothing to do with the world. In place of expectation, I put in this as my motivation. Not to be motivated by worldly expectation, but to be motivated by being correct, being thorough, being perfect, being excellent. And then add a little spice and salt to it to make it tasty. I know God is everywhere. There's not a speck of space, not an iota of time where God is not. So why don't I, as a pursuer of perfection and excellence, do things thoroughly, correctly, perfectly, excellently, and I offer to my God who is everywhere? I offer to you, my dear Lord, I don't want even you be happy with me. You do your duty, I do mine. This is the secret of Karma Yoga. The attitude is undergoing a sea change. That is why in English language, dear, I always use this word. It's a correction of the attitude with which we are trained or we are educated or we are used to do our day-to-day activities. It's an attitudinal correction. What is that attitudinal correction? I will not be motivated by worldly motivation. This is my new motivation. But it is a negative motivation. It's not positive. What? I will not be motivated by worldly. You are removing motivation, but you are not adding any. Positive. The positive motivations comes next step. I perform it perfectly, thoroughly, correctly, excellently, because I will convert my life into an endless worship of the divine. That is Karma Yoga for you. I have converted my day-to-day life and living into an endless, respectful, emotional, devoted interaction with the awareness of presence of the divine in my life. And one of my senior Swamis, when I was a young boy, just joined, he told me a secret of Karma Yoga, which I'm going to share with you now, because it is relevant. I asked him, Maharaj, there are 4 yogas which looks after the 4 faculties of human personality. Jnana Yoga looks after the rationality of human personality. Bhakti Yoga looks after the emotional aspect of human personality. Raja Yoga looks after the management of the mind. I understand that is also an aspect of human personality. Karma Yoga is performance of your duty. How does it relate with the 3? The question arose because I have read, Swamiji says, Jnana, Karma, Bhakti and Yoga are direct and independent means to realization. Whereas Acharya Shankara says, no. Karma Yoga is a stepping stone. After you are a Karma Yogi, you qualify to be a Jnani. Prior to that, you can't be a Jnani. So I was confused, so I went to ask him. Srimad Swami Madhavananda ji, our ex-General Secretary for a long period of time, and also our President. He told me something which opened my eyes, and let me share with you. He says that, look, Karma Yoga amalgamates, assimilates, put together all the three other yogas in your day-to-day life. I didn't understand. I said, how is it, Maharaj? Well, look, when you say the whole world is a manifestation of Brahman, whole world is a manifestation of the divine, there's not a speck of space, not a moment of time where the divine is not. Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. This is the conclusion of Jnana Marga. Bhakti Marga says you must be emotionally attached to the awareness of presence of God in your life all the time. That is Bhakti cult. You are constantly aware of the presence of God in your life. Only difference is God is, I am. We cannot be the same. He is infinite and I am microscopically small. But I have the capacity to link himself and myself together with the attachment or a bond of affectionate emotional interaction. And what is Raja Yoga? To keep a control on your thought processes. Now, when you are a Karma Yogi, what happens to you? You have accepted this conclusion that there is nothing but the divine in this world. The conclusion of Jnana Yoga, nothing but the divine everywhere. That is the main root. Whatever I do, whatever I say, Jat karoshi, jadasnashi, jat juasi, dadashi jat. In the 9th chapter, Sri Krishna will tell you, whatever you do, always do with this remembrance. You are doing it for me. I am in you, and you are in me. So Karma Yoga calls for Jnana Yoga, calls for Bhakti Yoga, and an indomitable willpower to put it into practice, Raja Yoga. All the three yogas are amalgamated with the concept of Karma Yoga. That is why Swamiji said, in the present day, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, that is Karma Yoga, is paramount. Sri Ramakrishna said so. Now, this is what Swamiji says, old nectar in a new bottle. Now, listen to this shloka. We are now starting on the concept of Karma Kanda according to the Vedic concepts. Shloka number 9. So, na karmanat anarambhat has been now understood. We have to start our life. While performing the duties of our life, we keep our eyes and ears open, mentally alert, and we identify. Because of this expectation, this mood swing is happening to me. If I can get rid of it, that's exception. this expectation, mood swings will not happen to me. That how do I work without any motivation? The motivation is, I'm a pursuer of thoroughness, I'm a pursuer of correctness, pursuer of perfection, pursuer of excellence. And I perform my duties of life as a student, as a grihastha, as a banaprastha, as a sannyasi. Each one has a duty of life. And when you have achieved that, you follow that duty of life to set an example to the others. You have no escape as long as you are in this body, in this life. Having said so, now Sri Krishna, from shloka number 9 to shloka number 13, he brings in the concept of karma yoga as mentioned in the Vedas. That is why so much of introduction has been placed before you. Let us read shloka number 9. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. This is a plain and simple verse. Let us go according to our conservative way of studying the scripture. First, let us paraphrase it and have a word-to-word meaning. Then we knit it together as a meaning of the sentence. And the third is what comes from the teachers. What is that? What is the intention of the author? Shavdartha, meaning of the word. Bhakyartha, meaning of the sentence. Lakshartha, the intended meaning of the author. What does author want to convey to you? Let me start with Shavdartha. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra. Any work done without the attitude of performing yajna is a cause of bondage in this world. What is yajna? The word yajna has 1,000 different meanings. The relevant meaning here is Yajna vai Vishnu, the divine. Vishesh Rupena Shnu. What does it mean? He is everywhere. Narayana and Vishnu, they mean the same. There's not a speck of space where he is not. Yajna Artha here is the concept of Vishnu. That is, the whole flow of life, the whole gamut, the total amount of performance of duties that you do in your life. If you do not do as an offering to the divine, if you do with any other motivation, that any other motivation will be the cause of bondage, whereas doing it as an offering to the divine with a worshipful mood is a cause of mukti, freedom. Essence of the concept of karma yoga, he says in shloka number 9. Anyatra karma, if it is done, that with a different attitude. What is that? Attitude without offering to the divine. Worshipful attitude. Any activity done with this attitude, offering to God, if you do any and every activity, it leads you to mukti and moksha, liberation, emancipation. What is that? I'll come later on. Let us get to word or meaning. And if it is not done with this attitude, It's a cause of bondage. You will be a victim of the dual throng of pleasure and pain, the swing of a pendulum. Tadartham karma kaunteya. Therefore, Kuntiputra Arjuna, tadartham karma kaunteya. Perform your duties of life with that idea, with that attitude, but do it thoroughly, samachara, samyak acharana samachara. Samyak achara samachara. Samyak means absolutely correct and total. That is, physically, emotionally, rationally, determinedly. You continue to perform the duties of life. How? Mukta Sangha. Get rid of that habit of getting attached to the results, expecting the result. So, dear, allow me to say, this 9th shloka of this chapter is the essence of the concept of Karma Yoga, as Sri Krishna is mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita, and he has mentioned in the 2nd chapter many, many times. Yoga karmashu kaushalam samattam yoga muchyati yoga bhavati dukkha. All these have been told before. He is now summarizing here, concluding here. Yajna arthat karma is mukta sangas, Jagyarthat karmano anyatra. Loko ayam karma bandhana. In this world of ours, in this life of ours, if you do not perform your duties of life with an attitude of worshipfulness, you will be bound down by the worth of your expectations. Tadartham karma konta. This is the operative clause. He's telling you, therefore, Arjuna, the work that I am asking you to do, however horrible it may be, do it as your duty and do it perfectly, thoroughly, correctly, excellently, and offer it to God. God, as an instrument in your hand, I am doing it for you. Mukta Sangha Samachara. Samyak Achara means do it thoroughly. And I use these 4 words. Thoroughly, correctly, perfectly, excellent. Samachara. If you do so, you will be free. Tadartham karma kaunteya. Hey Kuntiputra, with this attitude, you perform your duties of life. Not even I'll win, nothing doing. I've been forced to this situation. I will give of my very best, even if I have to die in this process. This is how the concept of Karma Yoga is introduced by Sri Krishna on the 9th shloka of the chapter of Karma Yoga. From the 10th to the 13th shloka, Sri Krishna will try to explain to that time society when the Gita was recited. At that time society, there was a value system, there was a process of understanding. These 4 shlokas, 10 to 13, he will explain to you the Vedic concept. He will speak in such a language that Vedic concept of yajna and how that concept can be practicalized in the time of Kurukshetra, in the Mahabharata. And Swami Vivekananda has told you how to practicalize in today's world. Old nectar, the old wine in a new bottle. The bottle keeps on changing. but the nectar remains the same. And we will get into that Vedic concept of karma during our next meeting. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much for your undivided attention. God bless us all. Thank you.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu